All right, so what did we do to the rectangle? We've now cut it in half, right? So let's say my question wasn't, hey, find the area of this rectangle, but now just find this piece. Well, think about what you've just done. You've cut the area in half. So instead of it being base times height, now it's going to be a half of what it was. So let's put back our units. Say this was 6, this is 3, just like before. All right, so to find the area of this rectangle is going to be base times height, but now that I've cut it in half, it's going to be a half times base times height. All right, so the area, and what shape is this? What shape is that little piece? It's a triangle. So the area of any triangle is going to be a half times base times height. A half times base times height, because a triangle is just a rectangle that's cut in half. So same thing, the height and the base must make a 90. And by the way, notice the base doesn't have to be at the bottom. It could be on the side, it could be on the other side, the top, it doesn't matter. As long as your relationship between base and height makes that 90-degree triangle. So a half times base times height, so the area of a triangle is a half times the base, which is 6, times the height, which is 3. So the area of this triangle is equal to a half times 6, which is basically half of 6, which is 3, times 3, which is 9. And that makes sense, because remember before, the area of our rectangle was 18. And if the area of a triangle is the rectangle cut in half, well, half of 18 is 9. So the area of any triangle is a half times base times height, which in this situation is 9. Well, that's one kind of question, but they can give you another question where you have to work backwards. So go ahead and just write down working backwards. All right, working backwards. Let's say they gave you the area of a triangle, which, in this situation was 9. And then they gave you, doesn't matter, let's say they gave you the base, which is 6, and they asked you to find the height. Okay, so this is just working backwards. The same thing, just working backwards. Well, you still use that formula. So the area of any triangle, remember, is half the area of a rectangle, which is half times base times height, right? And then all you do is you plug in what you have. So this time you're given the area is 9. So instead of area of a triangle, you're going to write the number 9 equals 1/2 times the base. And what's the base? 6. Times the height. Now, do I know what the height is? No, so I can just leave it with h. All right, and then this just becomes an equation to solve. So let's go ahead and do that. 9 equals 1/2 times 6. Half of 6 is 3. So you're going to get 9 equals 3 times h. Now, how do I get h on its own? I divide both sides by 3. So I'm going to get 9 divided by 3 is 3. This is going to cancel, and I'm just going to have h is 3, which makes sense because remember, that's what our h was in the beginning, is 3. So they can give you the problem working forwards or working backwards. Either way, you know what to do. All right, so that's the area of a triangle. All right, well, let's take a look at a different kind of shape, which is basically, what shape is this? What shape does this make? So I just want to make sure you can see it. What is that called? Good. It's called a parallelogram, and all a parallelogram is a slanted square. Let's go ahead and put some numbers in our parallelogram. As a matter of fact, right above it, let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. Just a rough sketch, because I basically want to show what do we do from this rectangle to get a parallelogram. And what we did is we took our rectangle and we cut a line, a slanted straight line, like that. So I'm going to say cut a rectangle. All right, and then we moved this piece to the front in order to get it here, right? So we moved piece to the front. We moved this piece to the front so that it could look like this. So a parallelogram is still a rectangle. Did my area change? Isn't it still the same amount of boxes? All I did is I just moved a piece to a different spot. So then the area of a parallelogram, so we could go ahead and just write down area of a parallelogram, the area of our parallelogram is still going to be the same as the area of a rectangle, because all I'm doing is taking a rectangle and moving a piece to the front. It's the same rectangle, nothing changed. So let's put some numbers in here. Let's say this is 4, this is 3, this is 4, this is 4. Let's see if we can go ahead and label my new shape. So if all I did is take this to the front, can we see that this is the front piece? So this top part is just going to be 3. Where is this 4? It's not here. It's actually right here. All right, and then this top part is going to be that part right there, which is 4. And then this part right here is the same, which is 4 right there. All right, so these are our numbers. Okay. So we all agree that this is just a slanted rectangle. So the area of a parallelogram, area, and just draw, again, it's a writing parallelogram. Draw 2 slanted lines, connect them, that's a parallelogram. It's still base times height. But notice, in our area of a rectangle, the base and the height make that 90 degrees. So you need to make sure that the base and the height make that 90 degrees. Can this be the height? No, because it's slanted. The base and the height has to make that 90 degrees. Okay, base times the height has to make that 90 degrees. So the area is base times height. So area is the base, and again, what is the base? It doesn't have to be at the bottom, but the base is not just 3, it's not just 4, but it's this whole thing, right? So it's 3 plus 4, which is going to give us 7. So the base is 7 times the height, which is the vertical distance that makes 90 degrees with the base, which is 4. 7 times 4, which is equal to 28. So the area of a parallelogram is still base times height. Again, let me teach you this. Let's work backwards. So work in backwards. Let's say they gave you the area of a parallelogram, which we found to be 28, and then they only give you one of the units. So they give you, let's say they give you base, which is equal to 7, and they ask you to find height. All right, so same thing, write down the formula. Area of a parallelogram is base times height. Substitute the numbers. So instead of area of a triangle, that is 28, equals the base, which is 7, and I don't know height, so 7h. Solve for h, divide both sides by 7, and you're going to get h is equal to 28 divided by 7, which is 4. Height is 4. Is that true? Absolutely. So it doesn't matter how they ask you the question, you are able to find all the answers. All right, let's take a look at a different one.